What's going on, y'all, and welcome on in. Today we finally got some content after that sort of underwhelming patch preview we got earlier this week with just, the rerun of the ReZero collab units. Hopefully your summons went well, guys. You got your Rem, you're waiting for Amelia next week, or if you're following my advice, you only had enough pity for one, you're waiting for Amelia first and then trying to get Rem after. Anyways, today's video, though, we want to talk about the balance patch preview that we just got the patch notes for that will be arriving in 2 weeks, and I personally really liked what I saw. I only took a quick glance because I wanted to do my first impressions here with y'all live, so make sure while you're watching, let me know what you think overall of one, which heroes were on there, how many heroes were on there, and just what you guys think of the actual changes themselves. There is one critique I want to make of Smilegate before we go into it, guys, and that's the fact that, as we're continually entering this or sustaining this no nerf meta, some of these heroes, even though I like the changes in how they're going to address some powerful disaster style units, I'm worried that we're making just more disasters, or we're just making more units that, are just becoming, well, how do I say this? Becoming solutions to problems. But, when we can't nerf units, that's kind of the direction we have to go. So I don't know how long this will sustain. I don't know if they're eventually going to run into problems. But overall, I do like the changes that I saw. So let's go ahead and stop talking and let's check it out together, boys. Okay, so we have the 6/9, nice, Thursday balance adjustment preview. Which will be arriving from 2 weeks from now, right, on June 9th. So let's go and take a look. The units that we have available, this seems about the normal amount. Only one Moonlight 5-star this time around, though, and that's going to be Desert Jewel Basar, DJB. What did you guys think about that one? He did receive buffs compared to... he did receive, I think, one round of buffs not too long ago, but definitely he needed another one, so that's what we're going to get today. Haste also received some buffs in the past, but those were like PvE buffs that just made him better versus Earth units, so let's see what they changed about him. Shu, a very underwhelming unit. I think also got a little bit of buffs, but now we're going to get more. Alencia got an exclusive equipment. It's nice to see her on there. Wanderer's Silk is an interesting one. I'm really curious to see what they did with her. Montmorency and Roz are both very strong specialty change units that are great in both PvE, and Montmorency can be used for like early game PvP, guild wars, things like that. Roz can actually be used in high level RTA even, so I'm really curious why they added these two in. But hey, these are very viable units for a lot of players. Everybody should build them in the beginning, so getting them buffed is nice for everybody. Artifact choices are Time Matter, Snow Crystal, and Eternus. I hope this Time Matter change doesn't affect my Banshee team. I'll tell you what I use for that later, guys. But Snow Crystal is Shu's artifact, and Eternus is that 4-star artifact with that decrepit, old-looking guy on it that no one uses. So hopefully that's a good change as well. All right, let's go and just talk loosely about all the changes. Start with probably the most important one, DJB. Now, I did take a glance earlier, guys, and I saw some of the stuff that's changing. And actually, if y'all don't mind, I think we're going to go outside of dark mode. Guys, sorry, hopefully this isn't too bright. The reason I use dark mode is because so many of my Twitch viewers complain, but I want to keep it on light mode so that we can actually see the green and red text. So sorry if it's a little bit too bright, but let's go ahead and take a look here. So it seems like Desert Wind is now going to be getting a heal, which I believe is just getting moved from the skill 2. Yeah, so the skill 2 used to do this same thing that they're moving onto the skill 1, and now it'll have a soul burn that increases the healing amount recovered. And I saw, guys, I had some messages about this. DJB is now going to be receiving a new effect, I believe. Yeah, this is a brand new effect or skill called Barrier Inversion. So let's read the first part, though. With a Sandstorm, inflicts Barrier Inversion on all enemies and has an 85% chance to decrease hit chance for 2 turns. That's very powerful, guys. Blind for 2 turns, 85% chance is very strong. When the target is granted a barrier, grants an extra turn to the caster. Okay, so if you bring him against barriers, not only will he get another turn versus the skill 2, not only will he blind for 2 turns, but he'll also do this new effect called Barrier Inversion, which inverts the barrier into damage. Unaffected by effect resist, and whether the attack hits, and applies to heroes only. So obviously they don't want it in PvE. Guys, how much damage? I think I saw people saying that people are assuming this is going to do the same amount of damage that the barrier health is, which would be pretty crazy, especially against units like Para. I'm not sure if that's actually going to be the case, but I don't know what arbitrary number they pick, so maybe it will just be straight up an inversion of the health of the barrier. So a very insane effect. And this is kind of what I was hinting at the beginning, guys. Smilegate obviously has a lot of problem units. Who has barriers, boys? Who's really strong and has barriers? Hua Young, Para, Fallen Cecilia. right? Very, very strong units. A lot of them considered potentially disasters or are straight up definitely disasters. And now we have a unit that can solve those issues, right? So we have a problem, we develop the solution. The only problem I have with that is the solution is Desert Jewel Basar, who a lot of people, I believe, skipped for. So I will double check, guys. If you haven't used your Mystic Summon yet, you might want to consider it if you still have that on the rotation, or for your selecting. And if you just don't have Mystics, guys, you'll have to wait maybe from coins, or you'll get lucky later and pull them. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of these, you know, put the solutions on Moonlight 5 stars. However, the fact that we are currently in a situation where if you guys are saving up Mystics, you could pull them from the selective summon. At least that's something, unlike the core changes. But overall, guys, the berry conversion is insane. I can't believe they're doing that. Berries are so strong in this meta for various reasons. And this berry inversion seems super, super crazy good. They're also going to enhance the molas, I guess, compared to the before. Well, not really. It's just the before they're moving that heal onto here, and so now the mola effects will just be improving. So this will be a 100% chance to increase the barrier, right? Because we get 15 there. Wait, 10, 15, 20. No, I'm assuming this is already maxed. This 85 is already after the skill enhancements, because otherwise that would bring it over 100. That doesn't make sense. So that's already included in there, I believe. And then the skill 3 Bastet Roar will now be a 4-turn cooldown. And it will lower the amount of souls you acquire by 1. On top of that, I believe now they also reduced... It's a little bit funny, guys. They'll put red text here and green text here, which seems like, right, the green text is better. But keep note of that, because later on when we go to Alencia, it's going to be the same thing. We actually lose a turn of immunity, right? Bastet Roar dispels all debuffs and granting immunity for 3 turns to allies, and now it's 2 turns. Okay. I mean, the lower cooldown, the fact that he gets a crazy... what do we call it here? Barrier inversion, a new effect, has the heal on the skill 1. He pretty much gets a skill, which he really needed. So I think that's okay. That's an okay alternative. 2-turn immunity is still great. Did they mention that at all about reducing the turn of immunity? Bastet will be adjusted to have a 1-turn shorter skill cooldown, allowing it to be used more frequently in long matches. Okay, so they want to reduce it because they're going to cycle faster and you get another skill. So he will indeed cycle much faster. Overall, very crazy changes, guys. I've had a DJB bench for a long time. I definitely plan to bust him out. And right now he's going to look even better because don't forget, in the RTA Frenzy changes, all Soul Weavers get plus 15 speed. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see him shake up the meta. Next up, guys, we have Haste, who everyone always wanted buffs for. Let's see here. He gets, instead of bleeds, he now gets a 75% chance to steal 1 buff. That's whatever. But I believe this part, yeah. I saw a little bit about this earlier. He now has dispels 2 buffs, and he has the bleed now on the Vampiric Seal, as well as a defense break. So that's pretty much the dispel 2 buffs and crits granting 2-turn defense break. That's very similar to Ran, right, guys? On top of that, Haste is also very, very fast. I believe base speed 120-ish. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys. But yeah, and then it's going to get a straight damage increase. This is very crazy. Now, Ran will still be unique because of the fact that he gets immunity. I actually don't know what Haste's other skill does, boys. I'll look it up after this, but I almost never use Haste, and he's gone through so many changes. But Ran will still be, he's not going to replace Ran, but he'll be like a fire Ran if Ran is banned out, if you want 2 openers. The fact that he's so fast, can now dispel 2 debuffs and AoE defense break is actually pretty insane. So I expect to see him get used quite a bit. And now he's not just a straight up golem farmer. So that's very nice. I don't know how, this might be too strong. And by guys, too strong, that don't get mad at me, because Haste definitely needs to be playable. But units like Ran that are super fast can AoE defense break, having more of them. That also now he also can't be counterattacked, so that's a bonus that Ran doesn't have. One of Ran's biggest weaknesses, right, is just getting countered from that opener, from like Rems, Bellions, whatever have you. And he will not trigger them, so that's kind of crazy. Yeah, very nice changes for Haste. All right, up next, Shu, guys. This is one I'm really like, because I like the Bruiser style units. You know, Car. Shu got some rounds of changes, so the first skill, Chop, skill 1, you'll be able to soul burn 20 for extra turn. Always nice. The skill 2, Fush, will get a straight up 20% defense pen. Very, very nice. As well as a health absorb. So it's kind of like a pseudo lifesteal. Very, very cool too. And just straight up increased damage on the Fush. That's very good, boys. I actually, if right now in the current meta with how overpowered Hua Young is, guys, if you have good gear, Shu is actually a decent counter to her. I've lost to some shoes with my Hua. even though it feels like she obliterates everything. And now I think she's going to be an even better just overall bruiser. Let's finish reading the skills, but also another Hua counter, an even better Hua counter. So let's see here. The skill 3, Help Me Cream, one of the most sus skill names. It's now going to get, when this skill is unavailable to cooldown count, after an ally except, when it's in use, after an ally except for the caster is attacked, has a 20% chance to counterattack. Wow. Gets a built-in Elbrus. On top of more damage, on top of defense pen, and on top of an extra a soul burn change. That is very nice, guys. I'm gonna bust out Shu and use her a lot here. I think she's shaping up to be a very, very nice bruiser and could answer the meta, especially Huayong's, very, very nicely, as well as potentially just being a counter, like a straight up counter unit. Okay, I really like those changes a lot. That's gonna make her definitely good, because the changes before made her not quite there. They didn't quite hit the mark. Next up, guys, we have Alencia, and I wanted to tell you all about the green text here. Take note. At first, I thought that said damage dealt increased, but it actually says decreased, which is kind of questionable. Alencia already, her damage, or there's the two, in my opinion, the biggest reasons Alencia got power crept is the fact that Mind's Eye was just inconsistent. So we have better bruisers nowadays. Even though she has everything in her kit, right, guys? She has defense up, she has a full strip, and defense breaks. The inconsistency with Mind's Eye, on top of the fact that her damage was just kind of underwhelming compared to the newer bruisers we got. I don't feel like they should have decreased the damage, but I guess they want to stay safe, which is unfortunate because I think a lot of players have Alencia, really like Alencia. I wish they didn't do that, but we'll see. We'll wait to see how the damage pans out, guys. Maybe in their testing they predicted that with a 100% chance to always trample, that it still be a net positive in damage. But yeah, we'll wait to see. She's gonna get injury as well, which is always nice. You know, look at Apocalypse Saravi. It can work on bruiser units, and it's really, really good into units like Crow, things like that. So it definitely adds up, and in longer matches it could be super good. Yes, 10% there. Mind's Eye will also now increase effectiveness by 50%, whereas before it increased effectiveness and effect resist. So I'm assuming, I'm not sure, guys, if that meant that effect resist is getting removed from the Mind's Eye. So we get a 20% boost of effectiveness, but we lose 30% effect resist. That's not the biggest deal, honestly. It might hurt players that want to build like 100 effect resist on their Alencias, which is a common thing for PvP. But overall, that's fine. You probably want the effectiveness more so that we can get the full strip. Here's another one. Trample's damage dealt decrease. So on top of just the base skill one getting decreased, the trample, which is the additional attack, also gets decreased too. So I'm not the biggest fan of that. The skill 3 will now also increase combat readiness of the cast by 50%, which is very, very good. That's going to allow her to skill 3 and immediately start trampling some opponents. So overall, guys, I think in testing, I'm hoping they tested. Some of y'all are going to say Smilegate doesn't test anything, but I'm guessing that they found out that the combat readiness push plus the 100% Mind's Eye, so she's always trampling. They wanted to decrease the skill 1 damage as well as the trample damage to make sure she stays in line. A little bit safer. We'll have to see how it fully pans out. But overall, I like the changes. It's just if they are too safe with it, she may not be as good as, as we wanted her to be. But overall, definitely welcome changes. It's no matter what, I bet you she'll be more usable. People will see, you will see her in some areas, especially PvP. The EE will now be changed to, because Mind's Eye is now 100%. Now she'll get health recovery. Okay, kind of cool. Shu and Alencia will now both have like some kind of health recovery. Not straight up lifesteal, I think. Shu's is spirit absorption, and this one says recovers the caster's health. So just a straight up flat amount, I assume. All right, let's keep moving on, guys. Wander Sulk. This is one I have no experience with. I always liked how she looked. She's waifu as heck, but I don't really know what she does. So we'll read through this one a little bit more carefully. So before, she would cause bleed for 2 turns, and she had speed scaling damage. Now she's going to have a target, kind of like Wanda, as well as just straight up damage dealt increase for her skill 1, I believe. Focus Fire, which I'm just going to safely assume is a skill 2. Before, it would decrease combat rates by 10% and a 50% chance to grant an extra attack. Now she'll dispel a buff, which I believe her EE used to do that. Maybe it wasn't for the skill 2 though. And when the caster has a buff, triggers a dual attack from an ally with a high stack. Wow. So that's kind of cool. She'll have a dual attack trigger, which is very, very strong. I'm already thinking we can combine that with Miss Confi, guys. Remember Cerise with Miss Confi, however you want to talk about it. That is the defense break artifact. Hopefully y'all pick that up on Elfelt's banner. But Any ranger that has a dual attack, you can defense break and lead into a highest attack unit. And if you have a skill 1 mega damage unit, guys, a lot of times that could super destroy, like really hamper or even kill off a unit if you land the defense break. So very cool. After Cerise kind of fell off the meta, we haven't had a need for Miss Confi for PvP. This could be it. Damage dealt increase and cooldown increased to 3 turns. They took off the soul burn as well. Shock arrow, which is the skill 3, I guess, attacks enemy with lightning arrows, will now grant a barrier, and it damage dealt increase as well as barrier scaling. They're taking away the speed scaling, and now we will no longer silence for 2 turns. No, is that correct? Attacks enemy with a no, sorry, we still have a silence, but it's silence for 2 turns. This is the awakened one. So inflicting silence and decrease attack for 2 turns. That is super powerful, guys. That's going to be strong against Hua Young. That's going to be the 2 turns makes it so that it's actually going to be effective versus Meat-Eater Querk as well. If you didn't know Meat-Eater Querk, he reduces debuffs by 1 turn. So a lot of times it's hard to really stun, silence, whatever him. But with 2 turns of silence, that's really going to stop him, as well as decrease combat readiness by 100%. So kind of like Faithless Litica. Or is it Fire Litica? I think it's Fire Litica does 100% decrease combat readiness. Very strong, boys. This is insane changes for Wanderer Silk. Oh my god, wait, they're also increasing her, they're making her imprint release 14 speed? Okay, I don't know about that. That's kind of a lot. She's going to be a cleaver or speed contester style imprint now, on top of having some crazy changes that can address some of the meta. This might be one of my favorite changes overall. Not for me personally, because I don't really like playing this style, but for a lot of people, this is going to be huge, I think. All these changes are crazy. Probably one of the biggest winners alongside DJB so far. I'm really liking this patch notes, though. It's really going to shake things up. They're changing the EE, of course. Instead of that extra attack, now we're going to get increased target effect chance of basic shoot by 15%. I guess that's the target. Okay. Let's keep moving on, guys. Montmorency, we're going to wrap it up here because I don't want the video to be too long. We've already talked a lot. Sorry, I really like this patch. But let's see here. So 35% chance to sleep is going to become 50%. By the way, I'm not sure why they buffed Montmorency, but hey, like I mentioned at the start of the video, more changes are always welcome since a lot of people will use her, especially in the beginning. Dispels 2 debuffs when she already had that before, but I'm assuming... Yeah, they're just swapping the order, because one of the problems with Montmorency before, guys, with Momo, is if you had like unbuffable or unhealable, you couldn't grant immunity, or sorry, it's just unbuffable. The immunity, or sorry, the unhealable is something else, but you couldn't grant the immunity beforehand, because that would happen first. Now they just swapped the order around so that it's much better, more intuitive. It's gonna feel a lot better with a dispel first. That way you can get rid of those pesky debuffs. And then last but not least, she straight up gets a damage suffered by the caster increases by 15%. Wow. They just gave her damage mitigation. Maybe she'll be more usable in Arena, Guild Wars, and maybe even RTA. That's kind of cool. So they actually removed the rune, though, from the increased sleep sorcery effect. So basically, guys, from the skill 1 here, yeah, they just put the rune into the skill itself. And now they make the rune get as 15% damage reduction. That's actually crazy. We might see some stall momos come out again for Arena Guild Wars. All right, let's keep moving on. We got Roz next. His Sword of the Air will get increased healing. Okay, I don't think he needed that, but sure, why not? Purifying Flame will also get increased healing. And the Wedge rune, which is the skill 2. This affects the skill 2. Has a chance to grant the immunity caster and the ally with the highest attack except for the caster. Okay, I actually saw this bug before, boys. What this means is if Roz was the highest attack, which almost never happens, but let's say your highest DPS die, Roz gets an attack buff, something weird happens where he's the highest attack unit on your squad. No longer will you not get 2 immunity ups. Now he'll always do it for the ally with the highest attack except for the caster. Just a minor quality of life change. Doesn't really happen too often. Some of y'all have probably never seen that. This Solitude rune, used to increase the health, which they're just increasing here base now, is going to, after the ally attacks in the back row, so similar to Troublemaker Crozet, suffers a single attack and damage suffered is 30% or more of max health, grants a barrier to the target for 2 turns. Boys, that is huge. That is very nice for PvP. Maybe some PvE usage too. Barrier strength is equivalent to 40% of the caster's max health. That's a big barrier. If we just stack a ton of health, that's very nice, guys. I was already using Roz a little bit more because I wanted the defense up. Now he'll just get straight. He doesn't lose any additional healing from the rune, and he'll actually get a barrier that procs when you take some big single attack damage, which guys happens all the time. Think Rimu, think Hua. As long as you don't get one shot, which a lot of those units still will one shot you, you'll get a big old barrier, 40% of Roz's health. Very nice changes. All right, let's wrap it up with the artifacts here. Time Matter, we'll get increased damage when attacking, so just straight up max 12% damage when attacking. Reduces the skill cooldown by 1 turn when enemy kills, which was there already, as well as increase the damage in the next additional attack. So they straight up, this is what they do with a lot of the artifacts, guys. It's gonna just straight up always increase damage now, on top of doing what it did before. So yeah, an overall just straight up damage buff for Time Matter. Kind of cool. Snow Crystal, which is Shu's artifact, instead of increased effect resist, will now get increased crit hit resistance, which is actually insane. So warriors will now have a crit hit resist by 20%. So think of how thieves get dodge, guys. They get dodge via Moonlight Dreamblade or like Shepherds of the Hollow. Warriors now have a RNG artifact that can really reduce damage. I'm interested to see if anyone will try this out. Or sorry, people will definitely try it out, including me. But I wonder if it'll become a mainstay, like actually good. Could be crazy, but not a lot of people like to play that RNG game, especially for warriors, who we have a lot of great artifacts like Draco Plate, Sigurd Scythe, etc. After the caster suffers a non-critical hit, yeah, that's the same effect still. So, could be cool. I wish this could work for Senya, because that would have been really nice. But yeah, I think this is very interesting. Might have some big changes and could really just straight up win matches if you just hit that 20%. Last but not least, guys, we have Eternus, which I mentioned is just a 4-star artifact that no one uses. It will now increase combat readiness to caster by 14% max when an ally has a debuff at the end of the enemy's turn, where before it was when a debuffed ally except for the caster starts a turn. So it's straight up better because it'll happen right at the end of the enemy's turn. And I think this is actually, they're planning to use this with DJ Basar possibly, boys. So DJ Basar is going to have 15 base speed or 15 increased speed because of the Frenzy RTA bonus. And if we put this on him as well, we're going to want to bring him against debuffs, right? Because he's a big cleanser. He'll get a straight up 14% push as soon as one of your teammates gets debuffed, which is, there's a lot of debuffs in this meta, guys. So I expect to see Eternus be used. Definitely people tested with DJB. Let's see if it's used on anyone else on top of that. Overall, though, the artifacts are nice. The heroes, I think, were great. Don't forget to let me know what you think overall, boys. And I'm very excited. I'm very excited for these changes. Let me know, actually, who y'all want for the Moonlight 5-star next in particular. I'm curious who y'all think should be up next. But yeah, let's wrap it up there, guys. Sorry, super long video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.